Okay, so let's start it off. So again, this is based off your tests. This is based off your tests. So one of the things you're going to have to do is change a exponent into word and into a product. So for example, if I have 4 to the 6th power, I'm going to ask you to change it into words, and then I'm going to change you into a product. Okay, so if to change it into words, you're going to actually have to write out. I'll type it out just so it's neat for us. I'm going to type out 4 to the power of 6. What's up? Go. Yes. Okay. The product is what it multiplies to.
But can I make a table?
Not for this, no. So then it's 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 times 4. So you should see 6 4s there because the power is 6. No, I didn't ask for the answer. I just asked you to change a word into product.
What's a product? Oh.
The multiplication problem. Okay. So you're going to get a question like that or two. You're going to get, in this one, Shu, we evaluate. When it says evaluate, that's when you're going to say the answer. So let's say it was 4 to the 6th power. You said you had it already?
4,000.
What?
I didn't get that.
4,000?
I'm calculating.
Yeah. What is it?
4,096.
Okay, 4,096. So this one you need to bring your calculators. I don't have calculus for you. Make sure to bring one.
Office doesn't.
The office do have calculators. You trade in your phone, they'll give you a calculator for the day, okay?
Really?
Yeah.
Like the fancy ones. I like more.
That's all 6s. Okay, next one. You're going to evaluate the expression. So that's evaluate an exponent. Here's evaluate the expressions. So for example, if I give you Q plus 7 when 7 or when Q equals 10, I guess it should be the same type of Q. Q equals 10. In this case, what you do in these problems is all you're doing is taking the variable that you see and taking the number and just plugging it in or substituting the numbers. So it's just going to be 10 plus 7, which is going to be 17. Yes, you'll see everything. Number 4, you'll have, and then they get a little bit harder as you go on. For example, y divided by 3 when y equals 24. All you're doing is plugging in the number. 24 divided by 3 equals 8 in this case. Remember, if I say evaluate, that means actually do the math, okay? When I say evaluate, that means actually do the math. 2x plus 3x minus x when x equals 10. 2x plus 3x when x equals 10. So in this scenario, you got to plug in 10 in every x you see. So 2 times 10 plus 3 times 10 minus 10. 20 plus 30 minus 10. 20 plus 30 is 50 minus 10. That ends up being 40. So 40 overall, okay? Oh.
I just want to clarify, everybody doesn't have to write
This is recorded, so I'd rather you guys write, but let's get the. You're not gonna write at home. Come on, Shri.
I'm gonna write it at home.
No, you're not. Come on, let's write it with us. So let's say, remember though, there's also a PEMDAS situation. So let's say something like
What does it eat?
12,
Of E exponent.
2 plus x when x equals 3.
Yeah, don't stop it.
Yeah, thanks.
Oh. I got it.
Good. Don't shut up. So in these scenarios, you're still replacing. Just make sure you do PEMDAS correctly. Now, some of you might distribute, some of you might add first. In this situation, since you know both numbers, it might be just simpler for your life to add first. So 2 plus 3 equals 5, and then 5 times 12 equals 60.
Oh yeah, I did that in the wrong order. I did the wrong.
You got the wrong answer or the right
I
answer?
did in the wrong order. That's fine.
You could also do it.
I did 12 times 2 and then plus 3, and I got. Okay.
Okay, look at what he's doing. So it's not the wrong order, it's something you forgot to multiply by the second number. Then those are the ones.
Yeah. So if you do 12 times 2, that's okay, which is 24. But you remember, you have to distribute to everything in the parentheses. You got to be fair. So you got to give it to everything, which means 12 by 3 also happens, which is 36. And then when you add it up, it's 60. So you could do it that way. You just got to make sure to distribute, okay? All right, Kogan? All right. Oh, all right. You're going to have check solutions. So that's when I give you an equation or an inequality, and you're going to plug it in. For example, let's do 5x minus 1 equals 29 when x equals 7. Very important here in this situation, because the question is it a solution, yes or no? You have to show your work for this. And
You're right, yes or no, right?
that's the final answer, right? But you have to show your work. You're not taking just a 50-50 if you don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
So,
Wait, but the other one didn't have like a comma.
yeah, it usually had a semicolon, but I'm just going to write it out in words just to make sure it's clear, okay? But it had a semicolon like this thing. Yeah.
Would you want like that with a semicolon?
No, because it's the same thing with the words. So I'm going to leave it with the words, okay? The only reason I taught it like the semicolon is because that's how the book did it.
Because no one has like.
It's going to be written like this. Okay? So I'm taking every. Laura, you could leave if you put your phone away and leave if you can't handle it. Okay. Next one. We're going to do 5. Replace that x with a 7 minus 1 equals 29. 5 times 7 is 35. Minus 1 equals 29. This is 34 equals 29. Now, is that a true statement? Is 34 equal to 29?
No. No.
I would say no, it's not. So your answer in this case is no.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Wait, but there's no semicolon.
I'm just writing when x equals 6 instead of just semicolon
I
7.
tried it around there anyway.
Sure.
Could you like write like text solution?
Say that one more time.
Like on the test, could you like write a text solution?
Yeah, it says in the instructions, check the solutions. So you know what section we're talking about. Let's do another one. 3x
You're making the test every year.
divided by 2 is greater than or equal to 14 when x equals 10. Tissues? Not. The front office guarantees have one. Okay. So this one, I'm going to plug in 10 into here. 3 times 10 divided by 2,
30, 15.
which is greater than 14. 3 times 10 is 30 divided by 2, which is greater than or equal to 14, which ends up being 15 is greater than or equal to 14. If that's a true statement?
So you just wrote that
No,
twice?
well, yeah, because it's greater
Yeah. So the answer is yes.
Why'd you write that twice?
Right, what twice?
Wait, isn't it
Divided by 10.
Why is that a true? Oh.
Because 15 is bigger than 14. As a reminder, let's say 13 greater than or equal to 13. That's yes. While 13 is just greater than 13, that's a no. Remember, you need a greater than or equal to if they happen to be the same, all right? All right? Let's go to the next one. This one will say translate the verbal phrase. I'm going to type it. Into an expression. Okay, once again, it's going to say translate the verbal phrase into an expression, okay? I could all write you up if you cut that out. Don't be weird like that, okay? So, for example, 22 less than x. What's our answer in this case? 22 less than x.
22 less than x?
Yeah.
X is-
I don't know.
Oh, 22 less than x. X, it's
Minus
x.
22.
No, it's 22 with the sign going this way. With the algebra.
It's x minus 22.
In this situation, 22 less than x is x minus 22. If I said 22 is less than x, in that situation, you say 22 is less than x.
That is gone.
Okay? Yeah, you gotta make sure you pay attention to the is.
Got it, guys?
No.
Do you not get it? I'm happy to explain.
No.
All right. So notice the difference between is and not being there changes how the question looks.
How do you get 15? Oh, you do 30.
The 30 divided by 2 is 15. If you didn't see the original, okay? Number 10. No,
Yes, right? 'Cause it's greater.
it does. It's a true statement that's been made. 5 divided by the sum of 3 and t. 5 divided by the sum of 3 and t. In this situation, I know it's 5 divided by the sum of 3 and t. So before I could divide, I need the sum of 3 and t first. So I could do 5 divided by the sum of 3 and t. So how do I force adding to go first? With parentheses. So you could see it as 3 plus t. I usually put a tail underneath my t's to make sure it's like t versus the plus sign. It also could be written, this is also good, and this is how it's going to be written in the future anyway, so know it. 3 plus t. Notice here, I put it all over, or I guess under, a fraction symbol, which means it's divided by. 5 divided by 3 and t. 3 plus t. You do not need to solve it. Solving is all chapter 2. All I want you to do is first translate it, because if you can't translate it, then it don't matter if you think you could solve it or not, if you can't translate it correctly. So the next section says translate the equations and inequalities. And remember, equations mean that there's going to be an equal sign involved, while inequalities have the greater than or less than, or it could be greater than or equal to or less than equal to. So you know in this section, it's going to be something that has to have an equal sign or has to have a greater than or less than sign, okay? If you don't have that in this section, you know you messed up somewhere, so you got to reread it and be careful. So, number 11. Thrice the number, 3 times, g, and thrice the number g is greater than 10. Thrice the number g is greater than 10. So in this situation, thrice the number g. So thrice tells me 3 times. So 3 times g, it is greater than. So greater than 10. Thrice the number g is greater than 10. 3g is greater than 10. Do you want to go up or down?
Down.
You gotta, there you go. Good job. The sum of 5 and r is no more than 20. The sum of 5 and r is no more than 20. The sum of 5 and r is no more than 20. So the sum of 5 and r, we should be professionals at this case now. We know that's going to be 5 plus r is no more than 20. Wonderful. It's less than or equal to. Think of it like this. I cannot be bigger than 20, so that must mean I must be equal to or smaller than 20. So less than or equal to 20. Sure. Last practice problem today. 10 is more than 10, I'm sorry, not 10. Let's put a variable there. X is more than 10 and no greater than and is no greater than 50. Okay. What do you think it is?
10 is less than x, and then if the 50 is greater than x. It's like you have x in the middle, and then it's like
Good, good. Wonderful. Let's talk about how it looks. X is more than 10. So x is definitely greater than 10. We also have x is also no greater than 50. That means it has to be less than or equal to 50. So x is smaller or equal to 50. Kind of like it is over here in the previous question. Yeah, right. X is less than or equal to 50. I was looking at the previous question when I said that.
So could you do like 10?
Yeah.
Is, well, you could do X.
Which one's bigger, X or 10?
10. Wait, no, X.
X, right?
Wow.
So,
Oh,
it says it here, right?
X more
So that means 10, if
10 is less than
good, X.
X, which is less than or equal to.
Wonderful. Okay. Remember, the final answer should be one statement. So make sure you have this as your final answer. If you get these two, you get 2 out of 3 points. But if you get the final answer, you get all 3 points.
You just flip like one of them.
You flip not only one of them, but probably the smaller one of them.
Wait, wow.
But remember, flip is the wrong word. Not flip is the wrong answer.
I confused myself. Because I wrote down that
What do you wrote?
10 is.
Bigger than X? You remember, you're churning it around. So whatever your right shoulder was, it's now on the other side.
I can't like do that. Like usually like I'm like not used
Okay, then always talk to yourself aloud in this case, or not out loud, but in this case, you know X is bigger than 10. So let's say the reverse. 10 must be,
smaller.
then, there you go. And then when you say it like to yourself like that, you'll get it. Okay.
Do we have homework?